Welcome to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, where history meets prophecy. I'm Elder Michael.
And I am Officer Charmaine.
Great to have you, Officer Charmaine. I know you're a far land, but it's good to see you. Today, we're going to debunk the folly of the so-called 12 tribes listing. Officer Charmaine, you know this is
Absolutely.
yeah, so much nonsense. But again, because it's not according to our history, it's not according to our culture, it's not according to our scriptures. I think we have the special distinction, I would like to say, of setting the record straight. Now, I'm not saying that we know everything, but we know what's wrong, right?
Exactly. And this is also going to be another very interesting session. We're looking at the 12 tribes of Israel. And I know that many of you have, by now, you should know exactly who the 12 tribes of Israel is. But we're going to have, of course, as usual, we're going to have a lot of fun because this is very interesting. We're going to do a deep dive into the 12 tribes and, answer some of the questions that some of you may or may not have. Once again, this is an interactive session, and we would really appreciate you sending in your questions, your comments, your concerns, so that we can have the appropriate dialogue. In addition to that, don't forget to like, don't forget to leave a comment at the end, and also to share this video with your families and friends.
That's right. So let's get started then. Where's the first?
I have a question, and I want you guys, don't be shy. Please, don't be shy at all. Which tribe are you from?
Wow.
So we have Reuben, we have Simeon, we have Levi, we have Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Gad, Asher, Dan, Naphtali, Joseph, and Benjamin. Tell us what tribe you're from. Put it in the comments. Let's have some fun here.
That's right.
No idea. Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Karen. Anyone else? Take a guess. I'm an Israelite. Maybe Judah here in America. Okay.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow.
How did you get to that? Not a clue. Okay. No. Thank you, Pansy.
Yes.
I really don't know. Okay. I like that. I like the honesty. Tribe of Judah. Okay. All right. That's interesting. I have no idea, but supposedly it's Benjamin, as I'm from the Caribbean.
Whoa.
Okay. I would like to know, those who... Someone told me I was from Judah. Okay. All right. We're going to look at this a little bit more. Don't know. Okay. All right. So we're going to look at this a little bit more. I've heard some interesting things as well. There are people that claim that they are from Levi or Judah. Actually, we have the next slide. Let's have a look at the next slide.
Now that's where everybody's getting it. Okay.
I think, we think that a lot of people are probably getting it from this piece of information here. So this is apparently, there's two charts here. There's one that's based, that seem to be more European based. Now, remember we did the discussions with regards to where the children of, the genealogy of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and we looked at Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and we looked at where the tribes actually settled. Now, I just want to look at the chart on the right side first. So we have this chart that's floating around the internet, and it claims that, and I'll just go through a few of them. I'm not going to go through all of them, but it's really quite interesting. For example, we have Ephraim here, and they're right now apparently in Britain. So if you're from Britain, you're Ephraim. I don't know whether that was before the Anglo-Saxons, after the Anglo-Saxons, was it during the time of the, Norwegians, or maybe the Swedes, I don't know, but apparently that's Ephraim. Then we have a Manasseh from the USA being Manasseh. Then we have France being Reuben, Simeon scattered throughout Wales. We have Levi, which are the Jews. I'm not sure which ones they're referring to. We have Zebulun, for example, the Netherlands. We have Dan, which is the Danes and the Celts. And then we have Naphtali, which is the Norwegians. So that's been quite interesting, because we know that the children of Israel, they settled in the land of Canaan. And they were there for many, many, many years before they were dispersed. But we know for a fact that, a lot of these countries here do not have a representation of the children of Israel. Well, maybe they have some now, but a few hundred years ago, you probably wouldn't see this. So just for those who's just joining, we are studying today the 12 tribes of Israel. And we are going through some of the information that's currently floating out there. And we're going to really look deep into what they are saying and what the actual truth of the matter is. Oh, somebody heard that there from Benjamin. Okay.
I think, Officer Charmaine, that people should really put on their common sense hat. In other words, try to, first of all, let's take a good look at this.
I know, Elder Michael, I know you just want to go straight to it because you're just tired of all this nonsense. I don't want to have a lot of patience for nonsense.
You're absolutely
right. But we really want to help everyone to understand, where they actually may be getting their information from.
That is
yes, and what the truth of the matter is. But keep going, Elder Michael.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because again, first of all, if I were talking to someone in China, I would want them to tell me about their culture. And here we're speaking about a biblical culture, and you have someone in Europe dictating our behavior. Or you have a Jacobite who has no idea what he's talking about, a person who has named himself. So I would rather listen to what our Father says. And one of the things that comes to mind, he says, don't envy the oppressor and don't choose any of his ways, right? But yet we do exactly what he said not to do. And then we suffer and we wonder, well, how did this happen?
Yeah, well, we're taking the same kind of ideology that they actually function by and applying it to ourselves. And for the most part, we're doing exactly what they're doing. They whitewash everything, we're blackwashing everything.
And then we turn around and blame them for everything. Isn't that hypocrisy?
Yeah. It is. But you know what? It is crazy. Yes. But we're going to look at,
by the way, the chart with the double triangle is 13 there, 13 tribes.
I didn't even count that. Yeah. Really?
Yes. So they off the mark from the get-go, they're false.
You're right. Nice one. Very interesting. Yes. Okay. Very, very interesting. All right. Yeah. So they have Manasseh. Okay. Right. They have Ephraim and Manasseh as well.
And Dan.
They don't have Joseph. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So now we go to the one on the left, and I know that most people are really interested in this one. And this is the one whereby most people are getting their information from. And when we say most people, we're talking about Jacobites,
yes,
children of slavery. This is where you're getting your information from. So somebody came up with this idea of the 12 tribes. So those that claim that they're from Judah, because according to this, it says that the American blacks are from Judah. It also says, I'm going to go through this one because, like I said, a lot of you guys are getting your information from this. I say, yes, I was shown this list, and that's how I got interested in being an Israelite. Yeah, I can tell, it is, it's really nice to know, and in a way I can kind of get it, because we have been a people that have been stripped of our identity and our culture.
That's
And for
right.
someone to come up to you and say, oh, you are from the tribe of Levi, or you are from the tribe of Zebulun, it's like, oh, you feel like you belong somewhere. But that's not necessarily the case. It's not the complete truth, should I say.
It's false. Let's call it what it is. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's like, I want to know if Issachar for Mexicans. Okay,
Absolutely not.
we're going to get to this. We're going to definitely get to this. Now, according to this, if you're Judah, you're the American blacks. If you're Benjamin, you're the West Indian blacks. If you're Levi, you're Haitian. Why Levi in Haiti?
Yeah, exactly.
There's something to that one. Anyways, there's Ephraim, Puerto Rico. You got Manasseh, Cubans. You got Simeon, Dominicans. You got Zebulun, Guatemala, Panama, Mayans, and you got Gad, which is the Native American Indians. You got Reuben, which is the Semele Indians. You got Asher, which is the Colombia and Uruguay. You got Issachar, the Mexicans. You got Naphtali, which is Argentina, Chile, and it talks about Isaiah 11:11 scattered throughout Africa and abroad. So, to me, this is complete and utter confusion.
100%.
Complete and utter confusion.
Yeah.
Wow, where do we begin, Elder Michael?
I know.
Where do we begin?
I think we have to begin from a historical perspective, where you have the slave ship docking, let's say, in one island, and they divide the slaves, or divide the cargo, whatever you want to call it. They divide the people. Why do they do that? Because bringing a spiritual people together in harmony could create or empower them, or to allow them to empower themselves. So you have to put a certain amount on one island, another island, you put another amount, and so on and so forth. So, and then you do that every time a ship arrives. So you mix the people. The people now are not keeping any records.
Okay.
How do you know where you belong?
Okay, so you talk about history. We need to take it back to the biblical time first and foremost.
That's right.
Because we understand that there have been many times when Israel has been enslaved, when they've been dispersed, when they've been, in captivity. And even in our very book speaks about those times. And if we go to slide number 11, we can see some of these times that they have been enslaved. And okay, so for example, and this is very important, and we'll get to why it is important very shortly, but it's very important to see how many times Israel was in captivity, in enslavement, being dispersed from their own land. Mm-hmm. Okay, so for example, we had 8 years by the Babylonians and the Mesopotamians, and you can find this in Judges, in the book of Judges. Mm-hmm. So each of these are specific references, and you can go there yourself and actually see this. Okay, so you got 18 years by the Moabites, 20 years by the Canaanites, 7 years by the Midianites, 18 again by the Philistines, 40 years by the Philistines. This one is very, very important. Judah was enslaved for 70 years by the Babylonians. And this is during the time of Nebuchadnezzar, during the time of Darius. And even though we have a reference here to Second Chronicles, right? It's also very prevalent in the books of Ezra and Nehemiah. We're going to go there. But before we do, I also want to point out that the first temple, during the time of the first temple, that was destroyed and the inhabitants was sent into captivity. And during the time of the second temple, that temple too was destroyed by the Romans, and Jerusalem was sieged, and many of the inhabitants also left during that time as well.
There's a lot there, I think, for people to understand that every time our foreparents were enslaved, they lost a little bit of that identity, because when you're in the land of the slave, you have to follow the instructions of the slave owner. You can't serve the God you want to serve. You got to do exactly what they say that you must do. And with that loss of culture comes a loss of identity. We see it today in every street corner. People doing things, they're wearing crosses, they, things that don't relate to our culture, things that don't relate to the God that we should be serving. Total confusion. This is
Right.
how we lose our identity. That's why you can't put your trust in all of these statements that people are making who don't even understand who they are.
Okay. So an example of this now. Guys, are you listening? Are you going to put some comments in?
Yes.
Are you there?
I think a lot of people are shocked that they're not
Well,
from the tribes that they thought they were from.
okay. All right. So once again, as Elder Michael said, it is highly improbable. It's absolutely impossible. Every nation in the world knows exactly where they're from,
Yes.
except for the children of Israel. And there is a reason for that.
That's right.
There are two reasons why we don't know who we are. One, because of our disobedience. And we were sent into captivity, as we were, during the time of the book of Judges. You've seen that many, many times. We were sent into captivity because of our disobedience. And number two, we have been scattered among the nations. We have been scattered to the four corners of the earth. So there is no way. And I'm going to give you a nice example here. And if we turn to Ezra, the book of Ezra, chapter 2, I'm going to read this one because I think it's this is an example. This is during the time that Israel was sent into captivity. This was just 70 years. Okay.
That's right.
Thank you, Tina.
And they were keeping records of the Charmaine.
Right.
They were keeping records.
They were keeping records, right? Right. They were actually keeping records at this time. But look what happened. Okay. Exactly. This is 70 years in captivity. And this is just a tidbit. This is found in the book of Ezra. You can find similar information in the book of Nehemiah. And we're not just telling you this, we're having the book speak for itself. This is where history meets prophecy, right? So let's look at this. It says in Ezra 2, 61 to 63, and the children of the priests, the children of Habiah, the children of Koz, the children of Basilia, which took a wife of the daughter of, maybe this is not the right one, and was called after their name. No, these sought their register among those that were reckoned by genealogy, but they were not found, right? So they were looking at the register, which were proof of their genealogy, but they were not found. Therefore, were they as polluted, put from the priesthood. So these guys, they probably thought that they were part of the priesthood, but their records were not found in the genealogy. So they, for some reason, throughout their captivity, they may have been told, as you are told today, that you're from Judah and from Levi and from whatever. Yeah. But according to this, they too were incorrect. It says here, therefore, were they as polluted, put from the priesthood. So they couldn't be part of the priesthood. Why? Because the priesthood had a specific job. In order to become a priest, you had to be from the tribe of Levi, as we know, according to the scriptures. Okay, so I wanted to look at another scripture which also shows this in a little bit more details. Okay, where was it? Where was I?
Are you reading the same?
You want to go on to that?
Oh, I thought you were going to go right through.
Okay. No, actually, I was just going up to that point.
Okay. Yeah, I think, and I got to check this, but the Levites were supposed to marry virgins, I believe. And if you didn't, then your offspring were separated. They were put out. They weren't part of it. I have to check that though, because I think this is also related to that situation. So you thought you were a Levite, but you're not.
Right.
And that created an issue. So now you go and you register, and you're thinking that, oh, where is my registration? It's not there because you fail to meet the necessary protocol.
Right. So throughout, even the books of Ezra and Nehemiah, again, you find in Nehemiah, they're looking at the books, the genealogy, and the register they found consisted of the genealogy, and this was the only way that they were able to say this is the tribe that you are from. Again, if we look at Nehemiah 7, it says, "And my God put into mine heart, to gather together the nobles and the rulers and the people, that they might be reckoned by genealogy. And I found a register." So there was no way he couldn't just turn around and say, well, okay, you are from here and you are from there. The register, they had to have a register in order to find this. Okay, remember, guys, this is after 70 years. So they couldn't just turn around. He had to find the register. And I'm going to read this again. I'm going to read it from 4. "Now the city was large and great, but the people were few therein." So it's only a few people, and the houses were not built. So remember, when they're returning to Jerusalem, and this is just one tribe, right? This is one tribe, and they had to figure out, who were the Levites, and who were the other tribes that were among their people at the time. "And my God put into mine heart to gather together the nobles and the rulers and the people, that they might be reckoned by genealogy. And I found a register of the genealogy of them which came up at the first, and found written therein." So he had to find the records, right? It
Just
was.
want to thank Hilaire for her
Oh,
donation. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And Yvonne, also, thank you for your donation.
thank you, guys. Thank you so much for your donations. Much appreciated. Okay, so these are Kings and Queen coaching
Yes.
group. Yes. Okay. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Okay, these are
They
the
had 70 years,
Okay.
Officer Charmaine. What you're saying, they
Sorry.
had 70 years. They couldn't tell exactly who was who. Now,
They couldn't.
today, we've got 400 years and no records being kept.
No records, and this is the point that I'm getting at.
Yeah.
It was in his heart, and then he found the register, a book with the genealogy, and this is the only way that they were able to reckon where everybody was from.
Right.
So my question would be, that lovely looking chart, where is the proof? Where is the book? Where is the register to say that this was the case?
Yes.
During the first slave ship, remember, the slaves marched from different provinces, different areas. First of all, that's even too fast. How did they even get to these places?
Yeah.
Remember, there was a dispersal that took place in 70 AD, right? The dispersal took place after the sacking of Jerusalem. But by then, most of the other provinces, the inhabitants was already leaving. And they would have gone to places like Spain, and they would have gone to Portugal. Some even went to India. Why did they go to India? Because they already had a connection there from the time of the building of King Solomon's temple. So they knew their way there, and they probably had families there, and people that they knew there over time. And they went there to settle. They went to places in North Africa to settle, right? They went to places in Southern Europe to settle. But they settled on all these places. But remember, guys, we spoke about the Inquisition. What happened during the time of the Inquisition?
That's a very important point, Charmaine, because you can imagine, let's say I was a priest, a Levi, and I knew that, and because I had the record, but I ended up in Spain somewhere in one of the cities, and one of the things that people started to do was to hide their Israelite identity, because it wasn't popular. As a matter of fact, you could die. You could be killed. Yes.
Exactly.
So you stop circumcising, for example.
You had to, right.
Yeah, you start getting rid of all the related trinkets that would
Identify
display,
you.
yeah,
Right.
identify you and display your culture. So over a generation of 20 years or 40 years, people being born wouldn't have no idea who they
Right.
really are. And that was just,
That was You're so
Yeah,
absolutely correct. You imagine you are now no longer practicing, because if you are practicing, you will be taken and you will be whipped and you'll be
yeah,
flogged.
yeah,
Sometimes you'll be drowned, you'll be burnt,
yeah.
your skin will be stripped off. It doesn't matter. So you are hiding your culture.
That's
So if
right.
you're hiding, and even some people even converted,
Yeah,
they were
that's the point I
afraid.
was going to
So
make.
they converted,
Yeah,
you know, they were
it was. It became popular to be a Christian, as terrible as
right.
that might sound, because
Exactly.
you saved your life and you saved the life of your wife and children, right?
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah,
And even when they talk about the lion's den, a lot of people is talking about, oh well, the Christians they were put into the lion's den, and they were persecuted, and they were in the games. It wasn't Christians. I'm telling
right,
you that.
right.
You know,
It's Israelites,
it was the Israelites that were
right?
put into the lion's den, because most of them did not want to convert, or they did
That's
not
right.
want to follow the ways,
Yes,
of the Christians.
yes.
And so they were put there and they were persecuted. And, that's a terrifying thing. Not everybody, unfortunately, had the experience of Daniel and his brethren, when they were put into the furnace, or even the den themselves. What's
Here's a
this?
note. It says, "But the tribes left in the land of Israel in 70 AD was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi." Right? Wrong.
No, no. A lot of them had left. A lot of them had left because of the things that were happening in the land.
Right.
So
Yes.
they left for their life, you know.
You have to remember that this now at that time was about survival, not about
Right,
identity. You see,
exactly. It
everybody
was
just
about
want to make it. Yeah,
exactly, so you're looking at these, our forefathers. They're going. Remember, even during the time of, geez,
let's give
yeah,
thank you to Jorge Santos for his donation. Thank you so much, Jorge.
yeah. Thank you guys for your donations. Yeah. So even when the God of Israel told, I think it's Jehoiakim, that
Mhm.
he was going into Babylon, and this is the instructions that he was given. You are going in. Jeremiah had to take the instructions. Guys, you're going to go into Babylon. The God of Israel says, just go. It's okay. Just go. And some of them fled. Some of them fled to Egypt because they
Yes,
didn't want to. They didn't want to be in captivity. They
exactly.
just did not want to. So
Mhm.
you're looking at people already leaving and going into different places because they did not want to go into captivity.
It's
If
a good
your
point.
land, even look at today. Look at
Yeah.
today, what's happening. How many people have left the Ukraine because of what's going on?
Mhm.
How many people have left?
Yes, but your
Right?
point about going to Egypt is a very good one because,
Mm.
I think I forgot exactly where Paul was, and they thought he was that guy that
Mm.
was in Egypt, whether, it was Moses or whoever it was, that they were relating it to Paul
Right.
because he probably had a similar culture. The point is, they couldn't tell the difference. All
Right.
they knew is this: there's a black man in Egypt or whatever, and it
Mhm.
could have been you because he was talking like you, he was behaving like you know,
Right.
that situation. So if they couldn't tell, and Paul is a Benjamite, and if you
Mhm.
want to use the analogy with Moses, he was a Levite, and
Right.
you see,
Exactly. That's a good example.
yeah. And
Right.
then of course you had Jesus was there too.
Hmm.
He wasn't a man at the time, but my point, Joseph was there and Mary was there. So you couldn't tell who was who. Why? It was about survival, not
It was
identity.
exactly. It was
Yes.
exactly, and I think that's a huge mark.
Yeah.
And again, you had our people. They were moving with different tribes. They were moving with, the Muslims, for example. They were moving with them to different places, right? So
Mhm.
if they're moving with them, they're not moving and say, oh well, it's just a group of us Benjamite, or it's just a group of us Danite. No, they were moving because this was the way of survival. This is
That's right.
okay. If we move with this tribe, we're going to
Yes.
settle a land. We're going to, conquer a city or whatever. We're going to live here. We're going to find. We're moving for a better life, for a better way of life. And this
Mhm.
is what they were doing. So they were moving. They were moving as maybe small families. If anything, it was just small families. It wasn't a whole nation of people moving to a different land. And guys, come on, think about it. during the slave trade, okay, so we're settling in these different lands. During the Inquisition, you understood that if people did not convert, what happened?
Right.
They were sold into slavery. They were taken and became slaves. And remember, we did a video one time, right, when we talked about Spain and Portugal, and we talked about the children being taken away from their parents and they were taken into different lands. Why do you think that that happened to them? They were taken to places like St. Thome, and they were taken to all parts of West Africa, and they were taken to Angola as young children, young men, very young, teens and children. You think they're going to hold on to oh, yes, well, I am from Dan, or I am from Levi. If you're 5 years old, you're not going to know that.
Sure.
If you're 10 years old, you might grab onto something, but you're barely going to remember.
I think our viewers should remember this phrase. And to your point also, Charmaine, they should remember convert or die.
Convert or die.
Right. And it wasn't only the Muslims that used that. The Christians used it as well.
And remember, okay, go ahead, Elder Michael.
Yeah, so as I said before, it's
thank
about
you,
survival. Yeah, Thomas, thank you so much for your donation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's about survival or survival and preserving your life, not your identity.
Right.
That is key to this understanding. And even if you want to go a little bit behind that or higher than that, it's about obedience to the word of your Father, obedience to the word of our God, not to be disobedient, because had we been obedient, none of this would have occurred.
Yeah, and you know what? You talk about obedience. Remember, we've done so many different videos in the past, but it kind of brings us to this particular point because, yes, we were dispersed in different places. Okay.
Right.
Remember, there was also a time when our names were changed. Remember, we were talking about languages and the importance of, the language that we speak right now and why it's important. If people are changing their names, they're converting, and as part of your conversion, you have to change your name. You can no longer be, David or Solomon, son of David. Exactly. You have to become, you had to take on a different name, which identified you as,
as normal,
a member of your captive, right? So by removing your name, you're removing your identity, you're removing you are the son of, and you become somebody else. So remember that. Remember, we talked about names and the importance of names, right? If you're taking on somebody else's name, that becomes very detrimental to your identity, because your identity is often determined by your name. But we can't change our name today because it's the name that we have. We have to make the best of our name. As we have spoken before, this is our name. This is who I am. This is the name that may be written in a book of life, right? So I'm going to change that.
To that point, Officer Sherman, before you mentioned recently, or we were talking recently, and we were talking about Ladino, right?
Yes, exactly. We found this.
Yes. So Ladino, the Spanish is involved, as obviously.
Yes.
And where the Spanish are involved, Christianity is behind it. But now we have Latino.
Yes.
So did someone make a mistake where they should have said Ladino and they say Latino instead?
Right. I was wondering about that.
If we can't get that right, how are we going to know which tribe we're from?
Right, exactly. And
so things like that stand out.
And you know what? Ladino was actually the term that was given to the slaves that were speaking Latin.
Yes.
Right? The slaves that were speaking Latin.
Yes.
And it's so funny because yes, exactly. Yes. Right. Yes. So you have Latino, you have Ladino or Latin and Ladino, which is the same language, but the one it's like, oh, we don't want to give it's like they don't want to give their nice language to the slaves, right? So, oh yeah, well, they speak Ladino. Maybe it's maybe they had an accent. Who knows?
So really, they're looking down on the slaves by saying, "Oh, you're speaking Ladino." Now, if I were to tell my Spanish friends today that when you use the term Latino, that it is really an error or a downgrade or whatever.
Oh, I
They
like this. Sorry. The
they would
question
hate
here,
me for that.
it
So go
says
ahead.
here, do Hebrew Israelites send their tithes to Haiti?
That's a good point.
You will have to ask a Hebrew Israelite. Very good question, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Anyways,
yeah,
yeah.
so they will not really come to an appreciation that the Latino should have been Ladino, because Ladino speaks to a great, rich, and advanced heritage, right?
Mhm.
But that would take some time to break it down for them.
But remember, it was the name given to those slaves that were speaking that. And the reason why I
Yes.
say that, because in the so-called Hebrew language definition, they claim that the Hebrews in Spain were speaking Ladino.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
right. And it never said anybody else, but just.
But they look down. They were looked down upon because of.
But it's to say that they were
Yeah.
slaves there.
Yeah. That's the
That's what
point.
that's the
Yeah.
point. They were slaves there.
Right.
That's the
Right.
thing. That's the point that they do not tell you. They
Right.
won't tell you that bit. And
That's
that is like a key thread
So since
to
they were
join
so
those two
close, since
parts
they were
together.
since they were so close to accuracy, why wouldn't they say which
They
tribe
won't
they were
tell
from?
you. They won't tell you. Why are they going to tell you that? Because it will be giving you too much power.
Well, my point is they didn't know either. Probably.
They know. They know
Okay.
who we were,
Okay.
but I they were
Generally
just
speaking,
getting
they knew,
that.
but individually they couldn't tell Levite, Judah, Benjamite. No, I don't think so.
No. Well, that's another yes. That is where we need to get to.
So
That
my
is
point
absolutely
now,
where
if
you
you
need to get
fast forward to today, you got a group of Jacobites claiming that they know precisely where everybody is or came from or dwell. I don't know.
So Dexter's asking, why does everyone today claim to be Judah? Everybody claims to be Judah.
You know
Well,
why? Because it's about power. Because
yeah,
Judah was supposed to be the rulers, the kings.
yes,
Everybody wants
exactly.
power. Nobody
Right.
wants to be a Benjamite.
Right.
I had
Absolutely.
I had one of my Jewish friends, if I could use that term, Jewish. They said they came to me one day and they said, "I am a Jew from the tribe of Levi." I laughed so hard. I think I probably hurt one of my ribs because I was laughing so hard, and I had to bring out the chart to show him, like you either
So,
pick a tribe, but you can't be both.
so somebody's asking a question. Why are you all trying to disprove the chart, which actually shows that all the Black people in America are from Judah? Anyways, why are you trying to disprove the chart instead of trying to find out who you are? Well,
Well,
first of all,
yes,
we're going to answer that question in details. But what I want to say for this is that we already know. Well, most of us already know who we are.
that's right,
Okay, we don't need a chart to tell us.
right.
Okay,
And the
and
second point
I,
is the chart is false. So we need to correct that because we have a responsibility and an obligation to our culture, to our society, our community, to
right,
guide them according to the principles and precepts of truth, not to
yeah,
follow the ways of the oppressor. The way that this is put forward is following the oppressor. And
exactly,
the scriptures are very specific. We
yeah.
are not to follow the ways of the oppressor. Case
Thank
closed.
you very much.
That,
Thank you.
you can read that
Yes,
in the book of Job, chapter 3. I think it's 31 to 32. Job.
yes.
So I say Job? I meant Proverbs.
Proverbs,
Proverbs chapter 3, 31 to 32.
right. So yes, I mean that's a beautiful point. Absolutely. So yes, we're not. This is something that's been made up in the last what? I don't know how old this is, but it's
20,
not that old,
probably 20
right?
years less.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that old, and it's like you know for a fact that the information there is incorrect. Because another thing that happened to us, which is integral to what we read earlier today, is
There's
that Nehemiah, Ezra
there's a
Nehemiah.
question. Is the chart on the right the correct one? No, they are both
Oh, they're
false.
both wrong. They are both incorrect.
Right.
And I think that should be made very clear.
Yeah, like we said
Information that
before.
there is nobody today that can tell you what tribe you are from.
Right.
There is nobody on earth that can tell you what tribe you are from. Even the little DNA test that they currently do is incorrect, because if they do not have somebody from the tribe of Benjamin, they have nobody in order to match that with. And I guarantee you they do not have anybody, because they don't know who is from Benjamin. They don't know who is from Ephraim. They don't know this. They absolutely do not know who is from which tribe.
So,
That is guaranteed.
Andrew is saying, so who does the curses of Deuteronomy fit? I don't see how the question relates, but I'll tell you, it fits all Israelites, all 12 tribes.
There is the key to the question, to the point of this discussion. You know, those that came over by ships were Israel. The majority of them were from Israel, Israelites, right? So we can't tell you for sure. And another key point, guys, listen to this very carefully. We read that the book was found by Ezra and Nehemiah. Within Ezra and Nehemiah, they found a book of records. What was the one thing that we were not allowed to do when we were taken into captivity during the last 400 years?
Read.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
If you cannot read, and your grandmother or your mother can't read, or your father can't read, and your great-grandfather and your great-grandmother can't read, nobody's teaching anybody.
That's right.
Nobody's teaching. We were in captivity for 400 years. They were in captivity for 70 years, and they were struggling. They had to find the book of genealogy in order to identify who was whom. And this was 70 years, and they were able to read. We weren't allowed to read.
I agree with Karen, because we are Israelites. We worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Case closed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mike is saying, not at all. I'm saying that Eber and his family, I don't know who that is, were located to Ireland and Scotland after they left Egypt. But we're speaking about Israelites, so I don't know.
Yeah, so I can't tell you about Eber. I can tell you about Israel.
That's right.
I can tell you about Israel, the Israelites, you know, those that were descended from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those were in the prophecy of Deuteronomy 28:68. You know, we can tell you about that. We can tell you that we were taken into ships again, right? And this was all Israel. It didn't say, well, it was just the tribe of Judah taken into ships again. It says, you shall be taken into, it was talking to all of Israel, that you shall be taken into ships again. Right?
There's somebody who's asking, they said, but the curse does not fit Mexicans who did not come by ship. You see, there's a little bit of error there, because back in the day of slavery, a lot of our forefathers escaped to Mexico.
Yes.
And I've done some research back in the day. Where some of the rulers were descendants of Israel back in the day. So don't be fooled now because of the appearance now that they have today. It wasn't always like that. But to your point, though, the key is that yes, they may not have come by ship initially, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, there was a lot of mixing, happening throughout all, throughout all the Americas. There were mixing being done throughout all of the Americas. People were mixing. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So it is important to recognize that as well. We were not able to read. We were mixing with all kinds of people, some willingly, some most of the time unwillingly, especially during the time of slavery. That's what happened to us, right?
I like this question here, because it says, what about the Bantu? Now, I don't know who the Bantu really are, but that proves our point. Because if you're part of the family and you don't know who you are, you name yourself whatever you want. So again, we don't know who the Bantu is, so we can't really address that.
Yeah, it's and this is like important. This is why we're looking, guys, this is why we are looking at history and prophecy, right? We can look at all the different data that's out there right now at this point in time, and we can say, well, you got the Bantu, you got the Hutus, and you got the Tutsis, and you got the Nilos, and you got all these different people groups, right? Yeah, okay, that's great. That's really fascinating information. You got different blood types here, and you got blood types there. You got people with different complexion, hair types, nose, lips, eyes. You got people of so many different variations. And yes, and you have groups of people that may be alike or seem alike or dress alike or behave alike. There are so many things that you can look at to start to identify and define things. But one thing we know for sure is that according to the scriptures, our forefathers were taken into captivity into a land that their fathers did not know. And this was after the first Egypt, right? You'll be taken into Egypt again. This is why history and prophecy is so integral to what we are trying to do today, to understand our identity. And our identity lies in the scriptures. It lies clearly there, because it's saying that Israel, as a nation of people, somehow, some way, you are going to be taken into captivity. And it doesn't matter how many people you look at, Bantus, Hutus, whatever you want to look at, Indians, whatever, Punjabs, it doesn't matter. There is only one people that have been taken into captivity again.
Right. So let's address the major group. And then once we have them in a situation where we can say for sure this, that, and everything, and the God of Israel is pleased, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob is pleased with us, then we can look at the fringe elements. We can look at the other people who, whatever they call themselves. And because I'll tell you what, if we are doing what is right in the sight of the God of Israel, others will follow and want to enjoy the same benefits that we enjoy. But if we are scattered and we don't seem to find that harmony, that oneness as a people, then obviously there's no help for anyone else. So let us come together, work together. Let's get the name of our Father correct. Because if you don't know your Father, then you're worshiping another God. The first command is to have no other God but me. And he identified himself by the name, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Case closed. Let's get that down, and then we can start moving further abroad.
Right. There's a really good question here. It's like, so if you're not a child of slavery taken in ships, you're not Israel. What say ye, Elder Michael?
I would say
we've actually touched on
are a child of slavery taken in ships. There is a 100% chance that you could be Israel. But here's the thing that
this is the thing, and we've touched on this.
This is why we want to bring this presentation forward. You see, we can go through the scriptures and go all the way back to Moses and lay it out, but the Christ did something that was phenomenal. Christ chose a Canaanite to be one of the apostles, to be one of the 12. Okay, this is very significant. And Paul was sent to the Gentiles that were called, that they too may come and serve our God, because the God of Israel could only take so much disobedience from his family. And now the doors are open not only to the Gentiles, but to anyone that want to come and serve the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. That's where our focus is, because the change was made when the covenant was upgraded, when the only begotten Son, the Christ, came to be the head of our family. All of this is very significant. I know it takes time to put the pieces together, but here's the significance that anyone following the instructions according to the covenant, according to the Holy Bible, could follow and serve with us, hold hands and serve with us, and serve the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob in spirit and in truth. Thank you, James, for your donation. Really
thank you, James. Thank you so much. And Elder Michael, that was so beautifully put. That's just such a beautiful way of addressing that. I was going to go into another area, but you know what? I absolutely love the way that was put, because you are so correct. We understand today that Israel can be anyone who wants to serve the God of Israel, right? It's not just delegated to those that came by ships. Most of those that came by ships are not even interested in being Israel.
You
You know,
know,
most of them don't even care, right? So
we could put a 7 foot seven branch candlestick, a 7 foot 7 branch candlestick. We can put that on their chest. They will throw it away and get a cross. You see?
yes,
So
yeah,
where or something else or a 9 branch, I don't know, whatever.
yes,
The point
absolutely.
is, where is the appreciation for the wisdom of our parent, of our father? Where is the unity that, rather than try to find something that is contrary, why don't we work with what we know is harmonious? Let us put, yeah,
Yeah.
go
You know,
ahead.
I like this point here that someone's just put here. They say people go to family reunions today to get to know who their relatives are. So how
Yes.
would we know what tribe we are from some hundreds of years removed from their history? Right? This is so true. You know, you may have a cousin living up the street and you don't even know. Remember one of the other things that slavery did to us, right? And this is another thing that was written in Deuteronomy as well. And that was we had babies and children and they were taken away from us and they were sold to other plantations and we never knew who they were and they grew up in their lives and we never got to see them again. They never knew our names. They never knew where we were from. They knew nothing about us. They were taken to other plantations. You
Yeah.
know, you had your children, they were ripped away from you. And that happens so many times. It was a normal thing. It was so common that it just became a popular thing, you
But
know?
here to answer this question though,
Mhm.
I like the idea of the fact that I don't celebrate slavery, but slavery is a reality. It's a
Mhm.
reality because number one, it showed that we were punished, right, for our disobedience.
Yeah.
Can we not rally around that to find our God and serve him correctly?
And this is what it's about.
Yeah,
That is what it's about. It's about
right.
serving the God of Israel. If you
Exactly.
can identify that you are a child of slavery, you know, a
Yes.
Jacobite, if you can actually do that, you know, and you're yes, if we follow the
The God
and
of
serve the
Abraham,
God of
Isaac, and
Abraham,
Jacob.
Isaac, and
Yes, you
Jacob,
are an Israelite.
yes,
Amen.
exactly. So
Yeah.
why do you have to, do a deep dive into, oh, I have to be from the tribe of Ephraim and
Doesn't matter which
go
tribe
through
you're
that?
from. No.
It
Let's
doesn't
embrace each other and and
right.
and
And
be
set things
respectful
up.
to each
Let's
other.
try let's try and follow the law, statutes, and commandments, which is
Yeah,
already a challenge. Most of us are not even doing that properly,
exactly.
you
Yeah.
know.
So
It's like
let's
we
do
have
that.
our new
Let's
moons
and
and we have
listen,
our Sabbaths, you know.
I mean, if the matter, people may be from a different group somewhere else, and Elder Shadrach taught us. What if you didn't agree with him on 3 out of 10? Well, why not rally around him and us about the 7? Leave
Yep.
the 3 for negotiation. See?
Exactly.
Everybody else does
Exactly.
that.
You don't have to make things up, guys. It's
Yeah,
it's it's highly improbable if you really think about it. If you have so many people coming from different areas, you have a guy from Angola, you don't know his ancestry, and you got someone coming in from St. Tome and another person coming in from Nigeria, and
right.
they're all on the slave ship together. They can't even communicate for the most part because their dialects or languages were slightly different. They're not allowed to read. They're taken to a completely new land. You're going to think, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to make sure that everybody knows that I am from the tribe of Issachar. No, it's like, am I going to live today? Is my life going to be spared? You know, what
The
they're praying
statement
for, according to the scriptures, if it was night, they were saying, God, it were morning. If it were morning, it was like, God, it were night. It was just unbearable.
the statement here says you guys read no scripture saying the chart was wrong. You're just talking a lot. Well, thank you for that comment. You know why
Wow.
we didn't read any scriptures saying the chart was wrong? Because there were no scriptures related to that chart. If there were scriptures saying that the black people in the Caribbean were from whatever
Yeah.
tribe, we would read that for sure.
Yes,
But since,
exactly.
but since the chart is a lie, it's not going to be found in the scriptures. But thank you for making
Exactly.
the point.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, yes,
Oh, that cleaned it up nicely.
right. Because we have to go according to the word of God. If
Mhm.
like we said, we read the scriptures that said they spent 70 years in Babylon, they weren't sure which tribe they were from. And they were keeping records. How
They
are
were
you
keeping
going to have
records.
400 years of slavery without reading or writing? And you're telling me you know exactly which the tribes come from? And
And
you're
that's
saying,
lie.
so you don't have to read what is nonsense. You read what
You
is
don't have to read what is nonsense. Where
right,
did that information come from?
right,
Where did that? Who made it up?
right. Yeah, let me drop the mic now.
Mic drop.
Okay, we're done. So my point is, and I don't say this disrespectfully, let me say it clearly. Let us rally around what we know to be true.
What?
Again, we said we came on the slave ship. I was there, you were there, Officer Charmaine was there. Now, let us use that as a building point. Nobody else can make that claim. So we
Nobody else. Yes.
yeah, the Europeans and the Khazars, and we discount that. Let us now work with what we know. We got the name of our father correct, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Let that be our rallying point. Let that be our rallying call. If you don't know the name of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, then you are not part of the family. Let's put it that way. So let us get that name. That's written in the scriptures.
You want me to read something that's in the scriptures? This is I'm going to read something for you guys.
Yes.
This is actually one of my favorites. I was going to try and leave this towards the end, but it's such a nice scripture. And I don't know. I hope you guys feel it the way I have. Okay, so this is Ezekiel 37.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to read it from my computer because I can see it better here. Okay, so Ezekiel 37 from 15. It says here, this is about Ezekiel, right? This is after he did the whole dry bones, which is a fantastic scripture, but we're not going to go quite there right now. It says, the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and all the house of Israel, his companions. Okay, so 2 sticks, the name of Judah on one and the name of Ephraim on the other.
Mm-hmm.
And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and join them one to another. So join the 2 sticks into one stick, so they become one stick,
Right.
and they shall become one in thine hand. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? Say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel in his fellows, and put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. So the God of Israel is saying this himself. He's taken the tribes, right? The representation of all the tribes of Judah and those of Israel, his companion, and those of Ephraim or Joseph, and all of Israel, his companions. So he's got all 12 tribes written on these 2 sticks.
That's right.
One hand,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And the sticks whereon thou write shall be in thine hand before their eyes. And say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathens, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land. Well, this is, and I will make them, this is the key here, and I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more 2 nations. Remember, there was always an issue with 2 nations. There was Israel and Judah. There was always an issue, right? Once upon a time, they were one nation under David, but it goes on to say here, neither shall they be divided into 2 kingdoms anymore at all. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their
God.
God.
Amen.
And David, my servant, shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them. Selah and Selah. Amen.
Amen. That is the key to the whole presentation. The entire presentation is summed up there. Just like we were saying, it is not about knowing which tribe you're from. It's about knowing which God you serve, knowing his name, knowing his holy word, knowing the covenant that he made with us. That's the key. And again, no one of us know everything. But if we can rally around one thing, especially the name of that God, let that be our stick. Let
So
that be, yeah,
what
simple.
did Corinne say? Fire, fire, chart lit on fire and
Yeah,
turned to ash.
yeah,
Knowing the God of Israel's name and serving him reigns. Amen.
amen.
You know, this this I can't find the 12 charts as the 12 tribe chart, as Elder Michael said in the scriptures. But the God of Israel himself says that it's not about what tribe you're from, what nation you're from. He wants us all to be one
Yes.
and be together serving him. I don't know what else to say about that. What
You
else is
know,
there to say about that,
the
Elder
point
Michael?
the point being, I think the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries is the perfect example. Elder did all of what he did, and he worked hard, and he came. He brought the truth alive back in the day, almost 40 years ago.
Yeah,
And we could have said, well, he doesn't have a cross. I want to listen to him, or whatever. We could have used 1,001 different excuses, but we
yes,
listened. We made notes of what he was saying.
yes,
And the more we listened, the more we practiced what he instructed us to do, the better we became, the more knowledgeable
yes,
we became. And today we can go anywhere on this earth and
yes,
speak with such confidence,
yes,
regardless of who we're speaking to, without
yes.
criticizing anyone, you see, because we embrace the truth. But thank you, Elder Shadrach, for teaching us. And
Thank
this is all
you.
that we are
Yes,
asking people to do today. You don't
yes.
have to agree with us 100%.
You
But if
don't.
you know we came on the slave ship, use that as a standing stone.
And
Let us work.
even
Yeah,
to say, you are an Israelite, it says it all.
yeah.
You're saying that you worship the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob.
Praise
You're
the Lord.
saying that you keep the laws, the statutes, and commandments. You're saying
Beautiful.
that you break bread with your brethren, that
Right.
you have the Sabbath and you have the new moons, and you do the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. You're saying so much by saying you are an Israelite. You are giving people exactly what they need to know when you say that you are an Israelite, and you're holding that up with confidence and with truth, and you walk around knowing that you are an Israelite, knowing that the God of Israel have chosen you to bear his name,
Right.
even as our father Jacob bear the name Israel, which was such
That
a powerful name.
that is a big responsibility. And that's the important point there, Officer Charmaine. We are not just putting a label Israel. Now let's show the world that we are Israel. Let's
Yes,
demonstrate
exactly.
that
Yes,
we are indeed Israel. And how do we do that? We lead. We do not follow, right?
right,
We are not here to
exactly.
criticize anyone. We are here to lead by example, to show the world who our Father is, not how
Amen.
smart we are. We're not here to show anybody that we're smart. I don't want anyone to know who I am. I want them to know who my Father is, right? That's the
Okay, so we have someone here that says, thanks for pointing out that those charts are fake. Let's say it nice and clear, guys.
yes.
Those charts are
Are
fake.
fake.
Write it in the chat, write it in the comments. Those charts are
Are
fake.
fake.
Absolutely. Because
Say
this
it
poor
again.
gentleman was under the
One more
impression
time.
that he
Those charts are fake.
this
With a
poor gentleman
capital
was under
F.
the impression that he was from the tribe of Zebulun.
Yeah.
Now you know that these charts are fake. Shout it from the mountaintop, write it in the chats, tell your friends and family that that is garbage. It has no basis, It has no foundation. It has nothing to do with being an Israelite.
And thank you, Albert, for your donation. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Yes.
Yep. It's
Let us look to let us work with what we know. We know the name of our Father. Let that be the rock on which we stand.
those charts are fake.
Yes, let us stand on that
Yes.
rock and
Yes.
glorify Him.
Hashtag those charts are fake. Yes,
Yeah,
put it
those
out there.
charts are fake,
Put
right?
it out there. When we don't, we profit nothing by doing, we spend hours researching just to bring this information to you, and it profits us nothing
That's
by
right.
bringing you lies, right? It does nothing for us,
Not
right?
only that, Officer Charmaine, we have taken an oath to our Father to teach the truth, right? Why
Amen.
would we
Exactly.
endanger ourselves by lying to you?
Why?
Our Father wouldn't.
It doesn't profit us anything. We're not, we're not getting paid to be, spread these lies. When no,
No.
we do this because it's fun and it's interesting, and we want, we want to share it. This is what Elder Michael and I will sit down and talk about over breakfast, lunch, and dinner,
Great.
and sometimes, after that.
Fantastic.
But yeah, this is just interesting things. But it's so sad when so many people are being misled by
Yes,
this false information.
that's right.
We always say, you do as you please, you believe what you want. But for those that truly want to understand the truth, we want to help you guys. It's like, yeah, don't get caught into this folly.
That's right.
Don't get caught by this folly.
And I love the wisdom associated with our Father. And sometimes I have to be very careful because I get very emotional about it because I see so much, and even now I'm just trying to retract or to remove the emotion. But I see, as I said earlier, and I want to repeat this because people are hung up on those 12 names. But
Mm,
but remember what we said. Our Father sent His only begotten Son,
yes.
okay? The Christ, not Jesus. Jesus is out of the picture. He was the vessel. But the point is, the Christ did what He had to do, and
Yeah.
the Christ chose 12 apostles. No, didn't he
Right.
didn't it didn't say 12 tribes, 12 apostles, and one of them was a
Mhm.
Canaanite. I want you to
Right.
know that.
Yes.
So now we're looking at our functionality, our obligation, our responsibility according to the terms of the covenant, not according
Exactly.
to I'm from Judah, I'm from No, no, no. Forget
Yes.
that. If we are all priests, all of us are priests to the world.
Exactly.
To the world. We're
Exactly.
supposed to teach the world about our
Mhm.
Father. That's our job, to witness unto the truth. That's the
Yes.
key. Doesn't matter if you were from Levi or Benjamin or Zebulun, it doesn't matter.
It
Teach the
doesn't.
truth. Lead by examples. Why? Because those charts are fake. Say it
Yes.
with me. Those
Those
charts
charts.
are
I
fake.
like hashtag those charts are fake.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's so incredible. And and even we always say it, and people might take this for granted, you know, but we have to thank our elder because
Yes.
honestly, there is nobody that I have ever come across that have been consistent in his teaching and consistent in providing proof of the truth. This is
Yes.
why I'm so motivated to do this, because it's like it was just listening to the truth, just knowing the name of our God first and foremost, the God of
Yes.
Abraham, the God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, and knowing that He is the only God that bears that name, which doesn't seem like a name, but it's His name, right?
Mhm.
And He's given it to His children, and He's given us the things that we are supposed to do. And this is the man that have seen through the glass darkly.
Yes.
He's seen through that glass, and he's seen the truth.
Yeah.
And it's how could you? What do you
Yeah,
say?
we need
Wow.
to understand this because and at a time when there was so much confusion in the world, our elder charted the course with precision that
Yeah.
it's almost as if he was taking um, uh, jewelry and just chiseling it out properly, because in a world where there is total darkness, we saw
Yeah.
the light of the truth.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it radiates today, you know,
Yeah.
because it's amazing how you don't have to stand on the highest mountain,
Mm.
to tell the truth. But
Yes.
the point is, let the truth take you there. That's
Yes.
the key. So we're not here to cut anybody up, to put people down, to say this is not about black and white. This is about
Right.
the truth
The truth.
versus the lie. And the
Yes.
underpinning of it all is the holy word, which is the Bible. That's
Ye-
the key. The truth,
Yes.
the lie, and the
Absolutely.
Bible. If you don't have the book, get it now.
Yes, no, absolutely, absolutely. And I always tell a person, anybody, I learn with by pictures, and pictures are a powerful antidote. It's
Yeah.
it's such a powerful, mechanism for teaching as well. So, and I always say, when you got to picture these things in your mind, you got to draw them out in your mind and map them. It's like, and you do it. You just take one location. You take a place like Angola, and you take 5 people, and you put one in Guyana, and you put one in Jamaica, and you put another one in America, and you put another one in Canada. You put them everywhere on the map, okay? And you do this for hundreds and hundreds of years,
Hmm.
right? How are you going to say that these people are what they claim them to be? Right?
Right.
Just put your picture. Even provide colors for all of these. As a keynote. Just do that, and you'll see that it's such a folly.
Yes.
Folly. It's like
There's no coherence to it. The whole idea
it doesn't make
is,
sense, guys. It
yeah,
doesn't make sense. It
that,
is. It really is garbage.
yeah. But when
Sorry.
you have the precision, like what our elder has done, we know now exactly who we serve by
Thank you,
name.
Elder Shadrach.
We
Yes.
know what our colors, our national colors are.
Mhm.
We've got the
It's
purple, we've got the blue, we've got the white, we've got the red. We've got that. We have the 7 branch candlestick.
We
We don't
have
know what
our
other people do.
emblem. We have
We have,
our calendar. We
yeah.
have, you
We
know,
sing our national anthem. Yesterday I felt so proud when we were singing the national anthem. It was so
mm,
good because we haven't done that in a year, in a while actually. So my point is, with all of these things, remembering the oath that we made to our Father to
right.
serve him in spirit and in truth. This is what we do. This is how we stand above and beyond all nations on this planet. There is not one. We don't have to have a nuclear bomb. We've
We,
got
we
truth,
we don't
right?
have to have that.
And we have the understanding of the truth. This
Mm.
is what makes a difference. Yeah, we don't know everything, but the 2% that we know is higher than the 100% of the rest of the people, because
It
it's all
it
garbage.
so
As we have
is.
proven
It
today.
so is.
Those charts are fake.
Yes, and you know what, guys, all of you guys that are listening and that understand, I really want to thank you. I want to
Yeah,
thank you for, because it is people like you that actually makes this job more satisfying and
very
exciting,
exciting.
because you get it, you understand, you understand what this is about, and you're willing to learn the truth, ask the questions, if you think we're wrong, tell us, show us what you think is
Yes,
so wrong. Don't just tell us we're wrong. Show us, prove it.
right.
We're providing all the information that we have to you. And if you do think it's incorrect and what have you, show us where. Don't
But
just say you're
before
wrong.
you get to that level, because remember, if you disagree with something that you do not understand, you're going to make yourself look a little strange, to put it mildly. So make sure you understand what you're trying to disagree with. The 12 tribes of Israel represent more than just the division of our Israelite royal family. It's more
Right.
than just itemization. Thereby is the kingdom of God established on earth, even the holy temple built without hands and consisting of 12 gates.
Yeah.
Remember, where
Right.
people see tribes by name, we see gates, we see 12 gifts, right? The
Yeah.
same is the royal priesthood and the chosen witnesses to the holy word, which is the God of Abraham, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, which is the truth. These are the points that we are making today. This is how we are
It is.
bringing this out, right? Thus, and this is the last point I want to make. Our Israelite royal family must represent the holy name of our Father throughout the entire earth. This is
Mhm.
the key. We're not here to tell you that I'm from Judah or Officer Charmaine is a Levite. That has nothing to do with it. We are here to declare the name of our Father and to lead by example according to his holy word. That is the key.
Amen. Amen, Elder Michael.
That's,
Amen. 100%.
that is
100%.
yes,
This is our job. This is what we are here to do.
right,
We are here to glorify our God in all ways possible and to let the whole world know that there is a God in Israel.
right,
And this is our message to you, you
right,
know. This is our message. And we just hope that you have gained a degree of understanding and appreciate the things that we have done,
right,
and even appreciate yourself for actually being able to understand this message.
right.
This is not something that's given to anybody. We are called, the God of Israel blesses us with understanding. There are many that have ears and cannot hear and eyes and cannot see. And it doesn't matter how much you say to them, you can speak until you're blue in the face and they would not understand.
But
So,
we must remember, to your point, Officer Charmaine, and I'll make this again. This is the third time I'm making this point, that it is not so much that we came on the slave ship, it's why we came on the slave ship.
yeah,
The as I said before, the Canaanites were bad. They
yeah,
were terrible. But why then ask yourself, why did the Christ chose a Canaanite to be one of his apostles? So
right.
there is
It
a
just
period.
goes to show, yeah. This is so incredibly, it's key. And I like what you said, Elder Michael, about it not just being about the 12 tribes. It's more to do with the gifts. It's
That's
more to do with the principles that we adhere to. It's
right.
more to do with our identity as a people serving the true and living God, and even to know that yes, we are a nation of priests. When we go out there to teach, it's like you're going to say, oh, well, you're not from the tribe of Levi. You can't. Hey, we're
Exactly.
teaching the word of God. You know what I mean? We're
Yes.
teaching the God of Israel's words. And that's what matters, This
Yeah.
is what matters. So, and we are doing our job,
Right.
and we enjoy doing our job.
Let me
So,
add, let me add a little bit to what you're saying, Officer, because it's a very good point. We were called out of the world and consecrated by oath for the and baptism for the service and the worship of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
yeah.
Each Israelite, and this is the point that I like, each Israelite may
Mhm.
be considered to be a precious stone, right?
Yeah.
In the rebuilding of the holy temple according to the design, according to the construction and function of
Mhm.
this. Because remember, back in the day, the God of Israel gave Moses a royal pattern, a
Yes.
pattern to build the temple, or in his case, it was a tabernacle, but it was given to Moses. And this is what we are doing right now. This is a shadow of great things to come. So let
Shadow.
us work what we know now. Let us rebuild this temple, to the God of Abraham, God of Isaac. He was waiting over 400 years.
Mhm.
Well, a place that is fitting for him to dwell in. Let us come to a conclusion that we are going to work together to make it a reality. That's
Exactly. And not quibble
about which tribe we're from.
yeah,
Let us work
are
as
you
one
doing the
rod.
services of God? That's the first thing you need to ask yourself. Are
Yeah,
you doing the services of God? Are you keeping the law, statutes, and commandments? Are you keeping the Sabbath day? Before you even start quibbling about which tribe you're from, are you doing these things? Are you doing these things? That's the key. That's what's important. This
you
is what's
know,
important to our God, and this is what it says in Ezekiel.
you know
Ezekiel
what I like?
37. It's very clear what the God of Israel wants. He wants one people to serve him,
And you
and
know
he
why?
wants to be our God.
That's right. That's very good. One body, no divisions. For
Right.
Yeah, just like today we have a body. Each one of us have a body, right? But we still have two hands, two legs, etc., etc.
But we
What
work together as one, as
one in
people,
harmony,
one.
working together as
Exactly.
one. That is exactly the image of the Israelite nation worldwide ministries. A
And in
temple for the God of
And in
Abraham.
saying that, whatever it is that you do it to the best of your ability.
That's right.
So if you are the right hand, you make sure you be the best right hand. And
Right.
if you have chosen to speak, do that. You know, whatever it is that you have chosen to do it to the best of your ability.
Amen.
That is what matters.
Amen.
And on that note, I want to say thank you, guests.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you to our Elder Michael, Elder Andor, our very own Elder Shadrach, the priesthood that supports us, all the councils and brethren. We thank you all very, very much. Have a wonderful day.